welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving my thesis on Bitcoin frogs, kind of walking through my history with the frogs, explaining why I decided to buy Bitcoin frogs, why I think it thought and think it was a good investment. And I want to preface this whole thing by saying the reason I'm making this is because one thing I do on this channel is document my investment journey. You know, I believe in building a portfolio for my grandchildren. And I want to make very clear that I am not telling anyone to do this. I am documenting this. I wish I would have made this video earlier because then maybe I would be telling people to do this. But it's really because I want to put my ideas out there. I want them to be challenged by others. And I want to be able to go back and look at what I was thinking, why I was thinking it, why I did what I did, so that I can improve my own thinking and analysis on investments. So, start off here on bitcoinfrogs.com because when I first found out about Bitcoin frogs, it was, I think, in March. No, I know it was in March of 2023. We're now in June, so March. It's been about 3 months. I came to the website, right? And here's what I knew about Bitcoin frogs. I had looked at the art, which you can see here, some different clips of what the art looks like. I came to the website, and this is all that there is on the website. It's a one-page website. And I saw 10,000 generative frogs on Bitcoin minted by the Lightning Network. When I came here on March 19th, it was already minted out, so I didn't mint. And I read this quote. One day I woke up and wanted to put 10,000 frogs on the Bitcoin blockchain at all costs. Frogtoshi Nakamoto. This is a pure digital collectible and will remain on Bitcoin forever. No more will ever be created. Rarities of all traits within each layer are equal, allowing subjective appreciation of aesthetics and Satoshi-based rarities to emerge. I don't even know if okay, this is the About page. I must have gone to their Twitter, and maybe we'll just go ahead and do that. Well, I started digging around, and one thing that I found was that the collection was not making any promises. The only thing that they were promising is that they were going to, deliver the art. It was a pure digital collectible, as the website said. And so I went on to Ordinal's wallet, and I'm going to pull up some tweets right now that you guys can take a look at. So, on March 19th at 5:30 p.m., I just purchased Bitcoin Frog's inscription for 0.111 BTC. At the time, this was the biggest Bitcoin investment I had ever made. And I had a lot of conviction. I can't tell you when Bitcoin Frogs launched, but ordinals, for those who are not familiar or who do not know, ordinals are essentially non-fungible tokens on Bitcoin. And we'll dive into a little bit more about what ordinals are and why I thought this was a good investment and what I think about ordinals. But ordinals had only launched in January of 2023. A guy named Casey Roadster, something like that. He put out a white paper and some code explaining ordinals theory. And so it had not been even 60 days old. It hardly had even been 45 days old, if I am remembering correctly. I think it was late January that he put out, ordinals theory with his code base. And so there was people didn't really know what it was, and there wasn't a lot of easy access to it. So I signed up for Ordinal's wallet. I purchased this, set my Bitcoin over, and purchased this frog for 0.111 BTC. And I want you guys to take a look at this frog. Woo! That boy clean. You already know. That boy. I just thought when I looked at him that he was super dope. and black on black frog with the gold glasses, smoking a fat cigar. He resonated with me, and so I wanted him to be my forever frog, and that's why I was willing to spend that much money on him, because I was like, look, I'm keeping this frog. This frog's not going anywhere. And what I knew about the traits, Ordinal's wallet, they now have this ranking system where they try to rank the frogs, and it's complete trash because Frog Toshi purposefully published these frogs so that their rarity traits would be equally distributed. So there are technically no frogs that are more superior to others based off of traits. It should all just be subjective. Now, Ordinal's wallet has come up with their own ranking system. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I haven't really looked too much into it because after I bought this frog, I subsequently went. Here we go. It was it the same day? Yeah. So within minutes, I said sweeping as many Bitcoin frog floors as I can. And I had just got on Ordinal's wallet. And, I wish that I had documented all of this because it truly was, it's going to go down in history, I believe. But I pumped the floor price, and you can see I pumped it 66% just buying floor frogs, as I call them, which basically just the cheapest frogs I could get. I didn't even care what they looked like. I just wanted as many frogs as I could. I didn't get to participate in the mint. This was a free mint. So I was paying about $50 for frogs, these floor frogs, as I call them. I pumped the price. If I remember correctly, the floor was at like 0.001, and I brought it to 0.002 because I just kept buying all the floors. Wish I would have bought more, and I bought a good amount of them. And it was just conviction, I then started and went and buy some like more like unique frogs that were a little bit like more high value priced, not floor frogs, but just frogs that I thought looked cool. And so, but what was going on through my mind on March 19th? That day, what I was thinking about was, I've seen this before. I had flashbacks to when Bored Ape Yacht Club launched on Ethereum. And I had been an investor in Ethereum NFTs, in 2017, 2018. Yeah, coffee break. But I didn't understand Bored Ape Yacht Club at the time, and I saw when everyone was buying their apes for $50, $100. I could have bought one, and I didn't get it. I saw the same thing with CryptoPunks when CryptoPunks launched. And what I subsequently learned through the last bull market and watching the NFT ecosystem grow was that these collections became essentially like status symbols. And humans have an innate desire to, one, collect things, two, possess things that are rare and hard to obtain and limited in supply, and three, show off their wealth. This is done like in subtle ways, such as like wearing a nice watch or, wearing a shirt that maybe doesn't have a very loud logo, but that a small group of people will know is a very elite brand. Or it can be done in very flashy ways, such as driving a Lamborghini. But humans do this. And what I learned about these NFTs was that they essentially became status symbols, and they also essentially became like social clubs. And like your membership was predicated on ownership. And so ownership of the asset not only symbolized to others that you were, at first it was like you were just symbolizing that you were early, you were symbolizing your technological sort of sophistication. And as we move into the tech revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, which will be driven by, in my opinion, blockchain, maybe coupled with artificial intelligence, but really blockchain. Um, it shows that you were early. It shows that you had a level of knowledge and know-how and wherewithal about how to use these technologies, because Web3 in those days was hard to navigate, and it was scary, and not a lot of people knew how to use these tools. And so as these communities grew, the status symbols became one of like essentially wealth, and being able to own a crypto punk meant that you had a lot of money because they became very expensive. And then I noticed that with Bored Ape Yacht Club in particular, they became like social clubs and social groups. And people would flex their Bored Ape Yacht Club hoodies. They'd have their Bored Ape Yacht Clubs on their watches, their Apple watches. And so when I saw Bitcoin frogs, I understood enough about NFTs to understand that ordinals were NFTs on Bitcoin. And I thought that Stacks was sort of like a superior. I didn't really think it was superior. It was just that ordinals theory had never really been done or never been created. No one had come up with the theory. And so no one had found a way, to my knowledge, up until that time. Well, I guess that's not really true. Satoshi Nakamoto inscribed an article from the London Times, maybe it was from the New York Times, in the first block of Bitcoin. Chancellor on the brink of second bank bailout, something like that. And so this idea of inscribing information on Bitcoin is not new. But what had not really sort of taken off, and maybe there was some novelty, to my understanding, in terms of the Taproot upgrade, allowed people to inscribe bits of information onto individual Satoshis. Now, Satoshis are the smallest unit of a Bitcoin. There's 21 million Bitcoin. In each Bitcoin, they could be broken down to 1/1,000,000th, I think. So 0.000001. I might be wrong there, but maybe there's another zero. And that's the smallest unit of a Bitcoin. And it takes however many of these Satoshis to equal one Bitcoin. And I have since long believed that Satoshis would become the unit of account of Bitcoin. People won't measure most people won't be able to have one Bitcoin. They will have Satoshis. And people will understand the currency in terms of Satoshis. And I think this is already playing out. I think Cash App has kind of solidified this. Unisat is a wallet that is big in the ordinal space, has continued to solidify this trajectory. And so I understood that ordinals were inscriptions on Satoshis. And so as you possess these Satoshis, you could put data. And this is what Michael Saylor talks about with the programmability of money being something very new. Andreas Antonopoulos talks about the programmability of money. Like, money used to not be able to hold data in it. And so I started thinking like essentially about collectible coins, and I did like some very brief research. And what I learned was that the most expensive coin to ever be sold is a St. Claude American Double Eagle from 1933. And this is a $20 gold coin that has sold for $20 million in the past. And the reason that it sold for this amount is because in 1933, the United States closed off the gold window. And so dollars were no longer convertible to gold. These gold coins were some of the last 400,000 gold coins minted. A lot of them were seized and destroyed by the federal government, but some of them escaped. And so, how can something that's only worth $20 sell for $20 million? And I just thought about that, and I think that it will be it'll be the similar situation with regard to ordinals, in which you will have something that is a singular Satoshi of inscribed data, or sell for 1, 2, 3, maybe more Bitcoin. And so I started thinking, like, well, why Bitcoin frogs, right? Well, I'd already had this sort of experience and knowledge of these 10K collections and what they meant. But Bitcoin frogs was not the first ordinals collection. There was Bitcoin punks. And I didn't like Bitcoin punks because there was I felt like they basically just copied from CryptoPunks. So there was not like a lot of like ingenuity in the artwork. Megapunks, which I've made videos, you may know. I'll have one pop down now. I have been a Megapont collector. Big fan of Megapont. Some may call me a Megapont OG. They launched an ordinals collection, but they did it through Emblem Vault. And so essentially it launched on Ethereum, then you converted it, then it went over to ordinals. I didn't like that. It lost a little bit of Bitcoin authenticity, Bitcoin originality. When I found Bitcoin frogs, they had launched on Lightning Network, which is a Bitcoin layer that allows for quick and cheap payments. It already minted out. But yeah, I was, and did I already show y'all my frog? Yeah, I showed y'all my frog. I'm seeing if I can collection with DZ. Yeah, and so I looked into DZ, and it was essentially some platform for the Lightning Network and launching things. And what I really am trying to say at this point was that I saw it as an original artwork collection that was, I want to say, a free mint. And if it wasn't free, it was basically free. And it was done natively to Bitcoin. And I resonated, and I knew that frogs were like part of internet culture. And so it just immediately struck me that this is going to be the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Actually, no, I correct that. It will be the CryptoPunks of ordinals, because there is no promises. They're not going to launch, something else on top of this and start trying to do derivative collections and build a metaverse and other deed. And they're not doing that. They're just saying, this is it. My desire was to put these 10,000 frogs on Bitcoin, and my work here is done. And so I think that is very powerful, because it essentially just becomes a relic of history. It becomes artwork. It becomes, you're essentially, the thesis is that these frogs represent something in history, that they are a snapshot in culture, in time, and that they're art. They're digital collectibles. And they're not going to, it's not like a group of people trying to like build a for-profit business or anything like that. If you buy a Bitcoin frog, which you can do still, and I will say, Bitcoin frog. Can I just click on Bitcoin frogs? Yeah, okay. So if you go to Ordinals Wallet, you can buy a Bitcoin frog. I have seen statistics that like there's been 400 Bitcoin worth of volume since the frogs have launched. But I think what's most important is that I sold frogs like a month ago for zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, like several of them that were floor frogs. And so today, frogs, the market has brought frogs back down about 50%, 60% about a week ago. They were selling at like 0.04, I think is the lowest price. And my honest to God belief is that frogs at 0.06 is at 0.05 today in June of 2022 is a great price. Because I do believe that frogs will become 1 Bitcoin per frog, and possibly even beyond that. Time will tell if that's true. This is not financial advice, but that's just where I'm thinking. My next sell target is 1 Bitcoin for the frogs, and yeah, I think that being part of Bitcoin Frogs is a great opportunity, a great community. You get to show that you're early. You get to represent being part of Bitcoin, internet culture, and let's be honest, the frogs are dope. So shout out to Frog Toshi. Hope you get to watch this, and thank you for that. Shout out to the Bitcoin Frogs community. And stay tuned to this channel because I will be making some more videos about, the plays I have made in ordinals because, as I said, I'm trying to document. I want to be challenged by others, and really, I want to have a reservoir of data and videos of my thinking that I can go back to as time progresses because I love investing and I'm going to continue to do it. So, see you guys in the next video. Peace.